All right, and for our week 4 hot or not segment, I'm going to go with a number of different players that you should look at or should sit on your bench for fantasy week 4. Starting with the quarterback spot and the hot side, definitely look at Peyton Manning. Not only should you start Manning every week against a bad Philadelphia defense, Manning should put up a lot of points and a lot of yards for the Broncos and be very successful against a porous defense. Also on the hot side, look for Tony Romo of the Cowboys against the Chargers. Chargers gave up a ton of points to the Eagles. Granted, the Cowboys play a much different offense, but the Chargers defense isn't that terrific, and look for Romo to put up some solid numbers, and also look for Andrew Luck to be on the hot side going up against Jacksonville. I think they're going to throw a lot. Bradshaw's out for the Colts, and so it's going to be up to T. Richardson to get a lot more carries, but look for Luck to really shred a bad team and their defense. On the not side at the quarterback spot, I would look at Matt Schaub. Schaub, the quarterback of the Texans, going up against Seattle. Great defense. Andre Johnson is nicked up. Limited practice this week. I don't think Schaub is going to be very successful even at home against a stout Seattle team. Although I would predict as a possible upset Houston winning that game, but in a low-scoring affair. Also, Matt Castle, I would sit if for some reason you have him on your team. He is a starter for the Vikings this week, going up against Pittsburgh. He's not a very good quarterback to begin with, replacing Christian Ponder. And the Steelers still have a solid defense. The other side, I would also possibly look at not playing E.J. Manuel this week against the New York Jets. At running back, the hot side, I would go with Maurice Jones-Drew going up against Indianapolis. The Colts defense, despite the fact they played very well against the 49ers, really is not that great. Jones-Drew has historically played well against the Colts, and look for him to have a significantly solid fantasy week this week against Indianapolis. Also, Jamel Charles against the Giants. Giants are just a mess offensively and defensively, especially offensively, but I would look for Jamel Charles to have a pretty significantly a pretty solid day against the Giants defense. And also Darren McFadden for the Raiders up against the Washington Redskins. The Redskins haven't shown yet that they can stop anyone, so McFadden is definitely a play there. On the not side, same Kansas City Giants game, I'd look on the other side of the ball. Don't play David Wilson today. Chiefs have a pretty solid front seven. The Giants have been behind a lot. The offensive line for the Giants is terrible, and I just don't think David Wilson's going to put up any real numbers against Kansas City. Also, Tony Richardson of Indianapolis against Jacksonville. Don't think the Colts are going to run the ball a lot. So what I would see is Richardson getting a few carries, but Jacksonville stopping him and getting just shredded by Andrew Luck. And also Doug Martin against Arizona. You almost have to play Martin, but I don't think it's going to be a great week for him. They're starting Mike Glennon for the first time in Tampa. They're going up against a pretty solid defense in Arizona. Arizona's offense has been a little bit of a disappointment, mostly because they can't run. But look for Martin to not have a great week as the Cardinals really stack up against the run and make Mike Glennon beat him in his first start. At wide receiver on the hot side, I would go with Demaryius Thomas for the Broncos against Philadelphia. Thomas has caught a lot of passes, but hasn't caught a touchdown pass in a couple of weeks. My basic philosophy is once a guy has not caught a touchdown pass that's as skilled as someone like Thomas for a couple of weeks, he'll be targeted many times, and I would look for him to put up one, maybe two touchdowns against the Philadelphia Eagles. And also Pierre Garçon against Oakland. This could be a high-scoring affair because neither team has got a very good defense, and I would look for RG3 to target Garçon early and often against the Raiders, loosen him up a little bit with Alfred Morris, and then hit Garcon over the top. Look for him to have a big day. On the not side, I would go with Andre Johnson on the bench if you can. Again, he's been nicked up playing against a great Seattle defense. I don't think Johnson's going to put up big numbers this week. Also, Larry Fitzgerald of the Cardinals against Tampa. Going up against Darrelle Revis, you got a great corner against a great wide receiver, but Cardinals quarterback Carson Palmer hasn't played great. Their offensive line is poor. Their running game is almost non-existent. So it should be an interesting matchup this week between the Cardinals and the Buccaneers. But I would not look for Larry Fitzgerald to have a big week. And lastly, Deshaun Jackson, wide receiver of the Eagles against the Denver Broncos. Jackson, not a bad player, obviously, and the Eagles do play a different type of offense where they'll look at him a lot, but the Broncos have a very good defense, very fast defense, and I don't think that Deshaun Jackson's going to put up a lot of yards. If you're going to go anywhere with the Eagles, look for LaShawn McCoy, especially catching passes out of the backfield, and Brent Selleck at the tight end spot. Those are my hot or nots for week 4.